Hi, folks. This is Don Meisner with the North Country Fishing Report. There's so many waters around us. It's really difficult to be an expert or even to be knowledgeable about all the different conditions and all the different water that we have because we have so much. And one of the areas that most of us don't get a chance to go fish, but it isn't that far away, and it's a wonderful New York State waterway, and that is Oneida Lake. And so I made some calls down there because I wanted to know more about what the conditions were right now. And believe me, I can call different bait shops. And I called one shop and I said, identified who I was and said, I'm trying to put some information together for listeners of a radio show on fishing down your way. Can you tell me how the fishing is in Oneida Lake right now? And the guy goes, no, I can't. The walleyes are biting. And that was it. And rather than to be upset about that, maybe he misunderstood me, or maybe it's just hard sometimes to get people to talk. So I called another shop, and this shop is a shop I'd never been to before, but I think I will in the future. The guy I talked to, his name was Josh, and he said, well, the walleye fishing right now is okay. He says the walleye are hitting more in shallow water. And he said some people are doing well with blade baits, and all of a sudden, all this information is becoming specific. But intrigued me, him talking about blade baits. So I said, well, Josh, let me ask you something. I said, there's an awful lot of blade baits being made. Is there one brand that seems to be better than another, or is it more about how people fish them? He says, I think it's more about how people fish them. But he said, there's so many changes or modifications or technological improvements that are being made to the blade baits today. The rear hook, for example, always would come up and catch on the line, just the way blade baits are designed. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, blade baits are just metal lures with no lip that are fairly heavy, that have two or three holes at the top where you can vary where you tie your line onto will make it dive or swim a little differently. And they're designed to be fished vertically, up and down, and they flutter and they flash, and they tend to be very effective. That's very generally telling you what they are. But there's been so many modifications that for a lot of people, they have become their go-to bait, what they use for casting, for trolling, for vertical jigging. And so I've gone to tell you about how I try to get information on different waters. The fishing in Oneida Lake can be fantastic. And it is a body of water that people can go and catch and release bass right now. You can't in Region 6 where we live. The rest of the state you can. And that sort of changes the complexion of how that water can be for a visiting fisherman. But I think it's important for us to realize that we're not the only game in town. There's other bodies of water around the state. And sometimes it's good if we can acquaint ourselves with the conditions there, we might apply some of that to our own fishing here. In my mind, to end this report, I will tell you that my entire life's experience, I have never, ever seen an area that offers more than what our area up here in the North Country does. We have more species of fish, we have more bigger fish, and we have more waters that people can go to enjoy this fabulous sport. Until next time, folks, this is Don Meisner with the North Country Fishing Report.